MMA Vice back to you guys.
What's up, y'all? We are back. MMA Vice, myself, alongside with Conan Silveira. I promised you I'd get him back on. I apologize for what happened last time, but I promised you I'd get him back on. I got him back on. He took time out of his busy schedule to continue the interview and what we were talking about. Now, Conan, what we were talking about before was the importance of mental training, and you was articulating something about how fighters prepare physically, and it's easy to prepare physically, but they're not prepared mentally.
Definitely. First of all, that was his fault about last time. Wasn't my fault. He's the director here.
It was.
Anyway, yes, that's the one thing that I still see on our business, on the fighting, on the fighters. They put it too much on the physical part. They want to be extremely in shape, but mentally they don't do anything. And that would be the question, but what are you talking about? How mentally you work? What exercise you do? I believe that anything in life has to do with training. If you want to be a good striker, you have to put some time for, develop your punches and your kicks. Grappler and wrestlers goes the same way. But mentally is how you visualize the fight. How do you see yourself? What about you know yourself, about your emotions, about how you feel with the moment coming to you? I think there's a lot of things that through questions and recognize the feelings and moments trains you for that moment, that pressure that comes with the fight time. I do believe that the fact that they don't know themselves, and it's funny because I'm going to put it in a very simple way. How many times you spend time with yourself? How many times you talk to yourself? We talk to everybody, we know everybody, we shake everybody's hand, but we never come to ourselves. It makes ourselves more familiar with ourselves. So pretty much, I think that when we start fulfilling that part, really pay attention to your mental side, how strong you can be, because on the fight, it's not, people say, oh, it's a 99% body, 1% mind, or vice versa. No, it is our mind. It is how you deal with emotions, moment, goals, questions, and everything comes with that moment. And I think fighters really don't pay attention to that.
Well, I think the general mentality of a fighter is to say, all right, you know what? I've trained really hard. I know I've trained really hard, so mentally I should be tough enough. Now, what are the flaws in that ideology?
I'll definitely think that when you see, let me break down very close to the fight, and I think there's going to be a better explanation. When you get to the week fight, when you walk to the week fight, everything's fine. If you previous the week of the fight, number one, how was your weight? Because if you accumulate weight, you're heavy, that means then you're going to bring a lot of sacrifice, a lot of stress to you on the week of the fight. So let's take then, you lie, you happy, you eating, because all these little feelings, when you add them together, in the day of the fight comes with the big result. Coming back to the beginning of the week. So I'm in the beginning of the week and my weight is fine, I'm happy, I'm eating, I'm training, I'm full of energy. Comes to the weigh-ins. Easy weight cut, easy scale, easy recovery, I'm ready to the fight. So when we look from outside, you see that a guy that is not only physically happy, but mentally happy. Because you don't, we as a human beings, we don't change feelings and emotions and thoughts from 24 hours. You don't cry one day and the next day you're super happy. Doesn't happen like that. Probably outside, apparently you can do that. You can put a smile in your face when you're extremely sad and the bad mood out inside. So my point is, every single time that you find yourself going to the fight, the day of the fight, when you're in the locker room, what do you have waiting for you? You have questions, you have nervous, you have all these 20 ghosts, then they always there. They waiting for you and say, hey, You're back here. So when you not mentally, you don't recognize that, what are you facing? You facing rounds, 20 rounds, because there's no way that you can change that. Doesn't matter what, doesn't matter if you do 1,000 times, doesn't matter if you do 1,000,000 times, they always gonna be there. They are part of the moment. That doesn't depend on you to change. You can change the moment, but you can change your perception. You can change it recognizing that. It makes that to be a round which one, you say now it's gonna be 21 guys against one. Because I'm not gonna fight you guys, I'm gonna embrace you guys to come with me to the moment. So become enjoyment, become a pleasure. And I think that the fact that we mentally don't see that, mentally we don't exercise that, we don't recognize that it is a fact. Every single time I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna have the up and down, I'm gonna go in the bathroom 20,000 times. You have to enjoy. Sounds a little bit of I'm torturing myself. And as you see in the first place, yes, but it's not. I'm liking the things I don't like it. Kind of sounds like, okay, so if I cannot push you guys away, I cannot make you go away, come over, be part of my team.
So like, if you can't beat them, join them. So now it's easier said than done, I think, because you can sit there, you can say, well, fighters need to work on their mentality, they need to train it. Now, this is a two-part question. Like, how much time should they dedicate towards the mental training, and what type of exercises? Because it's easy to say work on your mind, do that, but like, what type of exercises do you recommend?
I would say that the first part of the answer would be how you know yourself. Are you true yourself? Are you really true to yourself? You know yourself well? Because we don't reveal ourselves to anybody, and usually sometimes we don't reveal to ourselves. We try to hide and lie to us as much as we can.
Well, that's the fight game. Honesty is
so
a lack of honesty.
If you know yourself, you really dedicate a time. Like you train every day. If, like I say, good strike, you gotta strike. Good rep, you gotta grab. Good rep, you gotta. That's exactly the same way. The formula is how I know myself. Step number one. Once I know my weakness, I know, you know what, I'm a good striker. So I don't need to do the strike as much. I need to do the wrestler. I need the wrestling. I need to do the grappling. So most of the time, our tendency is always going to the comfort zone where I feel better. We have to understand that going for the things we don't know is going to make us better. Staying where we want to stay makes it worse. And I think that when we find that line, pretty much, we're going to find ourselves a way to exercise that. It's every day, it's all the time. I see MMA, I see fighting a 24/7 work. You don't, even when you're not fighting, I don't believe in off-season. I don't believe that you can have vacation. You can have a time to rest. It's different than vacation. I think that if you don't bring out together the whole package, physically, mentally, psychologically together, we're missing. You go into the fight with less than one arm. You're just going to fight with your jab because you don't have your right hand.
So what type of exercises do you recommend?
Definitely visualize. It is a lot of knowledge, like I say, about yourself, and look for the things that you really don't like it. I mean, that is easy to make a list. You ask anybody outside and you see a good strike and say, man, you know, because you're good strike, because you don't do the rest. So right there is a beginning of exercise. Right there you're recognizing that you need to be in the different areas to upgrade yourself.
Okay. So, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot to put other people on the spot here. Have you found, like, what fighters have you worked with that you thought were like really good at the mental side of it, to say, you know what, I got this mentally, and then perform well because of that?
Let me bring the answer this way, and I'm not that I'm trying to get myself away from the question, is to make people understand. When you see a fighter non-technically, you know, he doesn't have that many tools, but you can see it is visible, then he's a pain in the ass. He insists and he insists and insists, and he comes after you with one or two, three tools on his hand and say, I don't care, you can have a box, I have three, and I'm gonna go after you. You see that happen all the time. Sometimes you see a guy extremely technical. You say, man, he's good in everything, but he's not doing. That not doing, it is one reason only. Mine is not there. He has all the tools, but mentally, he's not in the fight. He fought so many times in the back before he got to the octagon or the ring, whatever. Then he's so exhausted. Mentally, he's ready, tired. I came to the fight with 20 rounds in front of you. Then you know what? You don't care. You know yourself. You believe in yourself. You know what? I'm going to go with my little three tools in my hands, and I'm going to go against you. Then technically high, but I got a box. But are you not there? I'll make your life miserable.
So what fighters do you admire? Who do you like?
I will tell you this. Through the time of being in MMA, this forever, these fighters, they really called my attention because people had a misunderstanding why they were so good. I'm going to give you one fighter specifically, Fedor. Why everybody will look to me and say, man, but he punches good, he kicks good. I think then the kicking and the punching, anybody can do it. The difference was then his mental state, his mentally he was so embraced with the other 20 ghosts. They were so together, they were so close to each other. When he would come to the fight, was 21 literally on the cage against that guy. And every time because you look at him and say, he has two arms, he has two legs. What he has on his side, technically, that makes him better? Nothing. It's three legs. Yes, I say, oh, he can kick with the three legs. He can punch with 4 arms. But it's not the case. But right here, he was so in his frequency, his state of mind was so clean. The music was so light that he would dictate in the fight all the notes and how you wanted to take the fight. Period. It wasn't nothing more than mentally stable.
Yeah, I remember I was with Jeff Munson when he fought him in Russia. And I remember walking out with Jeff, and I mean, Jeff looked like he was walking to his death, to his demise. And then when Fedor came out.
Pause for 1 second. Did you see what he just said? Walking to his death. That's exactly, because he was like, man,
yeah.
that feeling is never going to go away. That feeling is going to stay there, solid, heavy, with a lot of pressure on. Or you come in and say, come over here, come close to me, or you push everything around. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, and when Fedor came out, he had this certain level of concentration that was very zeroed in. And it's something that like you don't really see from a lot of MMA guys, because like a lot of MMA guys get so amped up and hyped and like, "Ruh." And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because some fighters, like Clay Guida and some other fighters like to get excited. But I found that fighters that get more excited that's kind of like that false confidence that we were talking about.
Exactly.
That dishonesty with ourselves that now I have to get really amped up. But there's something about a confidence that you see like with a lot of professional boxers. They have a lot of experience through the amateur rank, 300 amateur fights, 30 professional fights, and they have this concentration. And Fedor possessed that when I saw him. He just came out so zeroed in and did what he had to do, never missed an opportunity.
And most of the people say, oh, he looks like that and he has that face because he's Russian. And Russians is a cold people. Buddy, he's a human being. At the end of the day, he's blood, red blood, veins, body like us. Yeah. It doesn't change how he would do that, because in his mind, he knew that it was a pleasure. I'm going to turn that in a question. Why do you think that us what we find in fighting in MMA, then really is the reason why we do this. The majority, I want to make money, I want to be famous, I want to this, I want to that. But the real reason is going to sound a little bit crazy and barbarian, but it's like that. I have pleasure to hurt people.
Oh yeah, you got.
I have, but when I say that, I'm not putting in words. I'm putting feelings. Mm-hmm. I do have pleasure to hurt you. That brings me pleasure. That brings me joy. And the way I'm going to compare is going to be a little bit too far, but I'm going to use this way. It is a doctor that has a perfect surgery. He gets out of the room and say, "Shit, I saved their life." Or the lawyer is in court and he won the case. That pleasure of the fight in us, it is the pleasure to hurt people. If you don't recognize that before making money, being famous, etc., 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 you are still on dark. You can see it while you're here.
Well, I think that's, especially for me, like I think that's a reason why a lot of people retire. Because they lose that pleasure. Like for me, I know I lost that pleasure. Like I didn't have that same sense of pleasure to want to hurt somebody. It was just kind of like, I'm just going through the motions fighting. And I think a lot of fighters face that and they go, I need the paycheck.
I don't think that it is the missing of the feeling. If probably, I don't think there's a lot of people that recognize the reason why, if you ask 10 people, probably 11 is going to give a different answer. Probably, maybe nobody's going to give you, I love just to hurt people. Because, number one, sounds like crazy. Oh my God, you're a mean person. That's nothing to do one thing with the other. Doesn't make me a mean person. Makes me recognize exactly why. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest with you. That's what I got involved in MMA because I found pleasure. I found satisfaction. It makes me happy. Doesn't mean then when I do that, I'm a mean person. Because it is, I found the right reason why I work with this. What I believe that most of the fighters, when they see it, they say about the fire they don't have anymore. You gotta put it this way, our life is not easy at all. The training, it is, man, it's chaos every day. It's hell every day. You're pulling, pushing, lifting, fighting, throwing punches, and the next day it goes, and the next day, the ones that really take this serious, I do believe that when you get to the point that I don't believe that the fire goes away. What comes is the understanding, the recognition of I cannot deal with that shit anymore. It's a lot of punishment on us. Yeah. I think about fighting every day, Dean. I still get up and maybe sometimes twice a day. I wanna go back and I have the itching on my body. My blood goes like hot when I think about fighting. But am I being honest with myself? Body's not that anymore. Mentally, oh my God, I'll fight I get up from here, I'm gonna fight. But body-wise, is a lot on me. I've been doing this since I was a kid. So my elbows, my knee, not that I'm trying to create skills, it's not that I believe that makes me a inferior, human being because I recognize that my body's not that anymore. But mentally, I'm there. I want to do it.
Yeah. Well, Conan, look, time flies talking to you. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know how we just blew through this whole section, this interview, but you got any parting words that you want to give to the fans or tell anybody or?
Yeah, I wanna bring them a question, and it's a daily question. It's every single day. That when you see yourself without motivation, when you see yourself without reasons, when you see yourself then everything is difficult, you gotta ask yourself, goals and sacrifice. If your goals are bigger, greater than your sacrifice, that means you don't give a shit about what you have to do to get over here. Sacrifice will be a pleasure. When it's the other way, that means you're gonna suffer because your sacrifice is bigger than your goals. So you really care what are the things you gotta do to achieve what you want. So think about it. Let's do it.
All right, my man. There we have it. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.